everyone, so today's video is using the Anastasia Self-Made palette that I've used before in a previous video. It looks like this. You guys have requested, some of you have requested for me to do more wearable looks or just more looks in general with this palette, and this has been out for a little while. So what I did today was I wanted to keep it very simple because I'm doing some errands and just kind of hanging out with the family. And I didn't want to spend a lot of time doing my makeup and doing something elaborate and over the top, just because I want to be done as quickly as possible so I can be out the door. But I also didn't want it to look like I didn't take the time. So what I did was something very soft, using some kind of warm tones, some browns, just things that, colors in general that I feel comfortable wearing. But we have a very kind of glowy, dewy skin. We have a very highlighted inner corner. The brow bone is super frosty and glowy and pretty, and everything just looks very natural on the skin. I will be demoing a new foundation brush that I just got recently in the mail from Morphe brushes that I ordered, and a couple of new ones that I'm going to mix into this tutorial. And I will give you my official thoughts on those new brushes sometime in the next few weeks. I ordered some of them because I've seen a lot of videos recently of Morphe Top Picks brushes. Seems like everybody's doing those types of videos, and there was a few brushes that I ordered that everybody kept saying, you need these, holy grail. So of course, the makeup lover that I am, I had to try them. So I will definitely give you my feedback and tell you if they're really good, because I don't know, I just like sharing those things with you guys. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that review coming soon. But this look is very easy. I didn't do any false eyelashes. I skipped the liner altogether on the upper lash line. And it's just having fun, but just doing it fast, and I don't know. So anyways, I hope that you guys will enjoy this look. And if you want to see how to accomplish the whole look, then keep watching and I'll show you exactly how to do it. Alright, so today I'm going to demo this new brush. This is the Morphe M439, and I'm using the Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation in shade number 120. And what I do is I apply it on the back of my hand, and then I'm going to start with circular motions. Now this brush has been very popular on YouTube, and I've seen a lot of videos of people talking about how this is life changer, game changer, whatever you want to say. And so I figured I needed to try it. So what I'm doing here is applying some more. I started with one pump and I felt like I needed a little bit more, so I went with a second pump. And the second pump, I think, in my opinion, gives me a much fuller coverage. This foundation is very natural, and it gives you sort of like a medium to full coverage, depending, again, how many pumps you use. But I used 2 in this video, and so far I'm really enjoying this brush. I have to use it a little bit more. That was my first time using it, so that's kind of like a first impression. And if I didn't like it, you would have already known. I think it's good, and I'll report back to you guys on that. But that is the Morphe M439. Alright, so the first step that I'm doing is taking the shade called Buttery. This is a very light, kind of ivory, buttery shade. It is matte, and I'm applying that all over the lid, and I'm using the Morphe M433 brush, which is another new one that I just recently got in the mail. And I'm applying this shade all over the lid, all the way up to the brow bone. As I've talked about before, it's a step that I've been doing lately. Then I'm taking the color called Sherbet. It is a soft tan. It's got a bit of a sheen to it, so it's more of like a satiny finish. Again, using the same brush, the Morphe M433, and applying this to my crease. And I like this brush because it's very sort of tapered, so I can use the point of it to really carve out my natural crease and follow that shape that I've got as a guide. And then I'm taking the Morphe M441 brush, which is a crease brush, to basically soften out those edges and just create a very blended look. And here I am just going back to the other eye using the M433 for the crease, and then I'm going to probably go back in here in a minute with the M441 to just sort of, again, soften out the edges. It's a really nice brush, and I will be talking about these in future videos. I'm going to use them a little bit more because they are still new to me. Then I'm taking the shade called Self-Made, and this is a sort of like antiqued bronze sort of color. It's not super bronzy, but it's got a subtle kind of goldeny vibe to it. It's really pretty, and it's not as pigmented as I prefer, but for this everyday look, it's fine. And I'm using a flat eyeshadow brush. This is by Morphe. I just don't know what it's called. I think it's like the Red Sable flat shadow brush or something like that. I'll try to look it up and put it in the description box. But what I'm doing is sort of patting that color and sort of building it up because, like I said, it's not very pigmented, and this brush is perfect for doing that step. And then I'm going to sort of soften the edges again with the Morphe M433. And I decided to go in with the brush that came with the palette and use the crease side just to kind of soften it. And I had a little tiny bit of buttery on there just to kind of help blend everything out. Now moving on, I'm taking the color called Treasure, which is a champagne with a subtle kind of pinky undertone to it. It's very frosted. I went a little overboard here, but I like the overall look. And I'm using the synthetic side of the dual-ended brush that came with the palette. Just any sort of small brush that you've got would work for this step. I'm using that for the inner corner, the brow highlight, and it's a really pretty color. It's very frosted and super, super pigmented, so anything frosty that you've got would work if you're going to replicate this look. And then going back in with Sherbet and a pencil brush. This is either the MAC 219 or the Mikasa Beauty E300, or E310, sorry. They're both pretty much identical. And I'm using this to kind of define the lower lash line without it being super crazy. I like using pencil brushes first. And then I decided to go in with the Sigma E15, which is a flat definer brush, and the Hot Chocolate shade, which is a dark matte brown, and really sort of stamping this at the root of the lash. I'm not trying to make it super, super thick, and I don't want it extremely dark. And this brush is great because of that flat edge that it's got. You can really sort of smudge the color into the root of your lash and then go back in later on and blend it out with a different type of brush. But just keeping it really close to the root of the lash. I didn't put any liner on either in the waterline, so it's going to, again, keep it sort of everyday and very natural. And then I'm using a pencil brush to soften out those edges because you don't want anything super crazy and harsh on the lower lash line. And then this brush here, it's a bullet style brush from Morphe brushes, and I'm going to use that same hot cocoa shade to start defining my crease. And this is the Morphe B42 brush, and I'm just basically keeping that dark brown color on the outer V because that's where I want the most definition. But again, it looks a little bit intense here, but we're going to blend it to keep it again with that sort of natural look. If you prefer to use something a little lighter, by all means go for it. You can use a lighter shade of brown. You can use something darker, something cooler if you want in tone. You can just sort of take it any direction that you want. You can skip it or you can just intensify it. Again, it's all personal preference here for this step. Then going back in with the Morphe M441, and I'm going to soften out those edges because it did look a little bit crazy. I'm not going to lie, it was a little harsh, but blending definitely helps make everything look really good. And here I'm just adding a little bit more onto the other eye so that they match. And again, that brush is the Morphe B42. It's time for some liner. I'm using the Modster liner by Ardeny, and this is just the black one. And I'm sort of tight lining a little bit with this. It's a very intense liner, but it does stay on the waterline, which is great because a lot of things tend to transfer in that area. But this is a good one. It's very creamy and very intense and very rich in color. But I'm just tight lining and really getting it in the root of the lash just to intensify sort of the look of the lashes. And then I'm going in with two different mascaras. The first one with the yellow cap is the one that I got from Sephora. It's the Stretchex Stretch Lash Effect Mascara by Touch in Soul brand. And it came in a set from like the Sephora Favorites set that's like $75. There's that mascara's in there. And I like it. It's actually pretty good. It's a little bit wet, but with time I think it'll dry out a little bit more. And it has like a curve to it, so it really helps sort of hug your lashes and pull everything upwards and fan them out, which is great. And then I'm also going to be using another different mascara. This is from Revlon, and it's the one with the blue cap. It's the Volume and Length Magnified. It's got a fuller brush, and again, it's a bit of a wetter formula, but it works. I like layering both mascaras just to create a nice sort of fanned out lash effect. Then moving on to the face, we are bronzing the face with the Ultra Bronze from Makeup Revolution, of course. And then I'm busting out a new brush. This is the Morphe M527. Been wanting this brush for quite some time, and I finally decided to order it. It is a dupe for the MAC one. I'm not sure what the number is for the MAC version, but it's extremely soft, this brush, and I really like it. Even though it's my first time using it here, I enjoyed it quite a lot, and it gives you a very sort of easy sort of contour look without being difficult. It's just easy to work with this brush. Then for some blush, I'm using a matte peach. This is from the NYX Butt Naked Underneath It All palette, and I'm using the Mikasa F200, which is a stippling brush, to apply it. And I've been doing this application method lately with this type of brush, the F200, and it gives me just a very soft flush. I usually go very intense and I go ham with the blush, but this time I decided to go softer, and I like the effect that it gives. Now for some highlighting, I'm using the Morphe M501 brush, another must-have brush according to YouTube gurus. And I'm taking a sort of goldeny highlight shade. This is from the Underneath It All palette by NYX. But any sort of goldeny highlight, or use whatever you have that you prefer using, and just dust away. I really enjoy using this brush. It's very soft, and I think it works for highlighting. I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. So I'm just highlighting the typical spots that I like. The tops of the cheekbone, down the bridge of the nose, Cupid's bow. I want everything to look very glowy on the cheeks, and, you know, just a very sort of glowy, dewy look with the highlighter and around the eyes as well. Now for lips, I'm using my favorite lip liner. It's the one from NYX, and it's the color called Peekaboo Neutral, and it's a neutral pink shade. It's like my lips but better shade. It's great to have a color like that in your collection because it goes literally with everything. So what I'm doing here is filling in my lips after I've lined them, and then I feel like doing that helps the lipstick last a little longer, especially if you're doing something that matches. But for this look, I'm going to be using a lipstick by NYX, and this is my sort of go-to look that I've been doing a lot lately. I like it, and you'll see this coming up in a favorites video. But the lipstick I'm using is the NYX High Voltage lipstick in the shade Stone, which is a very kind of grayish taupe shade. Very different, very opposite of what I enjoy, but I like this sort of pairing here. And then, of course, topped it off with my favorite gloss by NYX. It's the Creme Brûlée. It's the Butter Gloss line, and that is it for the lips. So that is it. That's how I got this whole entire look. It didn't take very long, and I actually like this. This is something that I can literally see myself wearing every single day because it's just easy, doesn't take a lot of tools, doesn't take a lot of steps, and I can knock it out in a couple minutes. So I hope that you guys will enjoy this. If you want to see more from this palette, please let me know specifically which shades to use, because I think I've used pretty much the majority of these already in tutorials or in some sort of video in the past. So anywho, everything will be listed in the description box, so expand that. Also, if you would like to tune into my life off camera, I do have Twitter and Instagram. It's at glamourbylexi. I also have Snapchat, which is glamourbylexi.r. That's all in the description box, along with everything that I use and links to some sites to get this. And ignore my dogs. Have a fabulous day. I love you all very much, and please subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And if you are, thank you. I love you, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.